AKON. I love her, baby. Yeah. Well, actually, we're here for the Vodacom Superstar. You know, me and my partner Nikki and Jack, we put this thing together to kind of bring some entertainment, equity here in the Congo. We always wanted to do something in the Congo, but we wanted to do something that we knew we had the strength to control. Being the fact that Congo is now growing economically in all areas, we want to at least have some kind of input in the entertainment side of things. So we figured this would be the best way to do it. Reach out to the Congolese and bring out all the talent in the Congolese, and this was the best way to showcase it, which was through television. Well, the thing is, this is gonna probably start off a string of shows worldwide. Starting in Africa though. We want to bring out to Africa first, showcase to the rest of the world the kind of talent Africa also has, because a lot of people don't know that's this much talent here in Africa. So I think this was just the start. We start in Africa and then slowly branch off to the rest of the world. Well, being from Senegal, the memories are different, because as when you grow up as a kid, of course you have good times, you have bad times. And then what I miss most though is the family. In the States, the family values aren't as strong as it is here in Africa. So you got to kind of figure out ways to do it. It's like every man's for themselves, whereas here in Africa, the family values are a lot more stronger. You got more support, and you're more encouraged to do more positive things here. So, I think the way of life here in Africa is a lot more different from the U.S. Mama Africa pretty much came about because, first of all, I wanted to represent Africa. This is my home. So, as a successful African artist, I was one of the few artists that got the chance to actually branch off and be successful worldwide. So while the people was listening, I kind of wanted to express what I thought Africa was in my view, and that song describes how I see Africa. I look at it like the mothership of all naturalistic beings, period, all over, from humanity. It all started here in Africa, and our history tells us that, but I want to kind of express Africa in the way I see it better, from my eyes. I think Africa's been misrepresented for thousands of years, Most people have opinions about Africa, never been. They couldn't tell you how Africa looked outside of the television and the stereotypical, image of what they see Africa as. And I think this kind of helped from a, verbal standpoint of how to describe Africa without being there. And that's the whole purpose of Mama Africa. Making music my inspiration is just life in general. I speak about a lot of experiences. Majority of my experiences is what inspires the record. I just been blessed in a position where now I'm constantly traveling, so I'm experiencing different cultures, meeting different people, tasting different foods, and it allows me to see things that I normally wouldn't see just standing in one particular place. So all these experiences gathers up kind of creates that energy for me to be creative. And I think it's that lifestyle that influences and, inspires a lot of my records. Well, my main advice to the young kids coming up, that would want to be me, I would tell them to be themselves. I think if you take the time to just understand who you are, you could pull out that talent. I just happen to be, a singer that everyone likes. That don't necessarily make me the best singer in the world. I just happen to have a following. I'm blessed in a position where, God put that talent in front of me to where other people can relate to it. And I think a lot of times what people, tend to forget is that if you put more concentration in yourself and the things that you're great in, it can magnetize millions of times over if you just concentrate on it. So when you take your time to try to be like somebody else, you alienate who you are. So you don't give yourself that chance to even become me, or you for that matter. And I think that's a lot of things. You see something that you like, you see an artist or a rapper, or you see a producer or an athlete, and you be like, man, I want to be like that guy one day. No, you could be like him, but you don't want to be him. You understand what I'm saying? So they have to know the difference between that. He was successful because he took the time to understand himself and focused on his own talent. So I think if you take that whole initiative and that way of thinking, just figure out what it is you love to do and focus on it. Because whatever you love to do, obviously you're going to be great at it. And once you're great at something, people will pay you for those services. And you'll be bigger than me, hopefully, one day. Well, my journey getting into the music industry was, it's different. Getting in it, honestly, was really easy. Getting in it. Now, being successful in it was the difficult part. You know, I just happen to come from a background where a lot of people that I was connected with just happened to be in the music industry, or happened to be in a different industry and then turned over into the music industry. And we kind of knew each other from, you know, from the past. So getting in was really easy because I was pretty much connected already. Now being successful was completely different because I came in with a different sound, different attitude, different culture. And that sound of music wasn't in at the time, so we had to find different creative marketing plans to kind of showcase our music and talents to the rest of the world, you know, without it getting shut down because of the difference in it. But I think that kind of took the biggest toll, because then I started to realize, being the fact that I, you know, wasn't African, and trying to expose the African culture within the whole hip-hop and R&B scene, it was a little tougher, so I had to focus more on the people that understood it, and that which was Africans. And even to the day, and I tell it a million times, if it wasn't for the African people and my African fans, I wouldn't be who I am today, because it was their support that made everybody else pay attention. Everyone's career is going to be highs and lows, but I think those highs and those lows is what defines who you are. That's the difference between a great artist and a legend. It's all in how you manage those, you know, those situations. And with me, of course, you know, my incarceration actually really is what saved my life. You know, I think if I hadn't gotten incarcerated, I wouldn't be sitting here with you today. I'm honestly, seriously, you know, speaking and truly speaking, because before then, I was writing songs according to what I just go through generally, you know. And every time I go through a situation or experience, I write about it. So when I got locked up, it gave me the experience of being locked up. And that's how I wrote the song Locked Up, which was my first single. And that's the song that, you know, was my first ever worldwide hit. So honestly, I think if it wasn't for that song and me being in a position where I was locked up in the first place, I wouldn't even have the thought of taking music to the next level. So I think, you know, I think in everyone's past, or if you see something to be a low, sometimes it's to prepare you for something bigger. So, you know, you should take every situation like that, you know, and think about it and figure out how it can help benefit you rather than sit back on it and regret it. I started to realize I started getting more recognition in the hip-hop scene as well, so I started doing more collaboration with more hip-hop artists. And then I started branching off to doing, you know, collaboration with other artists, because I noticed for every artist that I do a collaboration with, they introduce me to their audience. So that made my audience get bigger and bigger and bigger. So I went from there to doing, you know, records with Eminem and 50 Cent, and then Gwen Stefani, then Lionel Richie, then Michael Jackson, then Quincy Jones, then Madonna. You know, then I started my own record label. And when I started my own record label, it was more so a more international label. And then I went off to do the more international, which was more pop and dance, and that's when I signed Lady Gaga. And she's pretty much starting off a whole nother movement for Con Live. Well, my relationship with most of them, like, we're friends first before anything. You know, me personally, I had to generally like them before I could even work with them. And as far as the competition aspect of it, I think that comes natural. You know, of course, you want to be the top, but me in position, I would rather my artist be bigger than me. You know, I want to see my artist number one and me number second, because I feel like I came into business, I've had my shine already. You know, I've had a great experience and a great ride. So now I want to open up the doors for other new artists to be able to have that opportunity to see what I've saw. You know, so when you see somebody like Lady Gaga being number one, it's because we want her to be there, and we want her to eventually pass the torch on to someone else to have that same opportunity as well. Well, my relationship with Michael Jackson was far beyond business. You know, he's a great friend, you know, a great father, great mentor, and I always felt that, you know, the whole urban music scene period was inspired by Michael Jackson, our generation at least. You know, I don't know a kid in the world that don't know Michael Jackson, all the way down to 1 year old, and he's not even, you know, around anymore. And if you think that his death is actually the world is empty without him, in certain aspects it is, but in a lot of aspects it's not, because he left so much behind that even him gone, you still feel his presence here, you know? And that's only because of, I think, what he's contributed to the music industry as well. Like, he left a piece of him with everybody, every artist, every producer, every songwriter, to a point no matter how much you think, you can never forget Mike and what he left behind, you know? So I think he's one of a true legend. He's one that you cannot in no way argue that he's not a legend of our time. He's like the legend's legend, you know what I mean? Yeah, check it out, man. It's your boy AKON. That's right, that official convict doing the way big, man. Real peace and harmony with the #1 station, B1. Come on, man, keep this thing locked. Let's get it. Yeah! The Congolese fans can expect everything out of me, man. You know, that's why I want to personally come here and show them how serious we are about this, how serious we are about bringing new acts out of Africa, starting with the Congo. You know, thanks to Vodacom and all the other sponsors that we have that made this thing possible. You know, and more so than anything, you know, I think out of this competition, it really pulled out some great talent. You know, I was very, very excited, and I think it's going to be enough, you know, entertainment tonight that'll go around for another year. We're going to try to keep this thing going as long as we can. You know, as long as the people support it, we'll continue to keep it going. And eventually, you know, I'll come down here and probably do something special for the people as well. You know, throw a big concert somewhere in one of these stadiums, and we're going to just party it out, you know?